I think the most important thing about the Michelin star was not as much the fact that I got it, but that my mom was able to be there when I got handed my Michelin star.
Amazing.
She ended up passing away like 3 months after. So to have her be able to have Danielle actually was there and like tell her, you know, how proud he was of her son and of her and both her sons, because my brother's my partner at Sushi Naz, and I think he might be one of the youngest Michelin star recipients ever. He was 24
Amazing.
when he got the Michelin star, or 25. I remember that day I got to shake Thomas Keller's hand, I got to shake Jose Andres' hand, I got to shake all these crazy people's hands and just like be in a room and like have my name up there with like some of my idols. And that was obviously a life career defining moment. I remember my girlfriend picked me up from the airport. I couldn't invite her to the dinner because I had like only limited amount of tickets to invite people, and she picked me up from the airport with like nice like Michelin Man sign, and it was
Nice.
like it was really special, and I still to this day cherish that. But it was really cool and it was really inspiring. But when you get the taste of one Michelin star, it makes you even want more. Let me know when we're ready to roll.
Oh, we're
Oh,
ready.
we're
to
ready.
Go.
You're
welcome.
You're live and in demand.
This is happening. Welcome to Pan Con Podcast. I'm Nick Jimenez, and I'm joined by 8th grade basketball MVP
That's what I'm talking about.
Michael Beltran,
No, that's what the fuck I'm talking
and
about.
this episode's guest, restaurateur David Fouquier. Welcome to our last guest of 2020.
Yeah, man. You're the last
What
one.
an honor.
Wow, what a way to cap it off, Nick. Nice
Yeah,
work.
there you go.
Nice work.
Thanks to Carluba. Carluba was he set this up.
Oh, the Luba? The Luba did
this
this?
is a Luba special.
The
He's
Luba
not even
Luba.
here to get lubed up.
Yeah. We're trying to keep the plane on track here, so, you know?
This is where I step away.
Yeah, all right, Nick. See you later. Man, we've known each other for a while now.
It's been a minute.
I know. And it's, I have to say that Fuchs was always a place that I enjoyed going to.
Thank you.
For the last, how long has it been open now?
6 years.
6 years. Man, that is, in restaurant years, that's like 7 years a year.
Dude, I
Right?
feel like a dog.
I know. I
It's
feel,
like 6 times 7. No, my restaurant's 42.
yeah, like area turns 5 in January, and I'm just like, fuck, it's only been 5 years? Like,
Yeah.
fuck me sideways, dude.
Big time.
Thanks for being on the show.
Honor.
I don't know where we should start. I think it's a good place to start talking a little bit about what inspired the opening of Fuchs to begin with. And let's talk, because we have people that aren't actually from here that listen to
Yeah.
this crazy shit. So Fuchs is in a small corner of downtown Miami that no one would expect anything other than strip clubs and bars to be in.
Yes.
And so to find a nice dining establishment in that area, for some people be like, what? Whoa, that's weird. But I always very much enjoyed it. So, and I know a lot of other people did. So what inspired the thought process there?
I grew up in New York City. Full-blown Manhattan kid, born and raised. So you kind of get exposed to a lot of shit in the city that you maybe don't get exposed to living in other places. And I remember having, very distinct memories as a 10, 12-year-old going out to eat with my parents and, having them take me out to like the cool, trendy places that were popping off downtown in Chelsea in the meatpacking district at the time, and as well as, neighborhood restaurants that were being run by really cool sole proprietors that were kind of the guys that ran the show.
Right.
Which was like a very old school restaurant thing when you actually had a restaurant where the owner was actually on the floor, come
Weird.
in and shake your hand.
Weird.
And pour your wine and ask you how you're doing. This little thing called hospitality.
Weird.
Very bizarre. In this age of digital third-party delivery systems and corporate chains. But I got really inspired by that, and I thought that it was a lifestyle that seemed at the time as a 12-year-old vaguely, naively really cool. And I was always kind of a host and a party thrower from my youngest ages, and my family were always kind of like the family whose house had the open door for all the homies. And we had a Persian and French household, so the French side of it was very food oriented, making
Right.
sure that every dish that we ate, every piece of food on the plate was always delicious. And then the Persian hospitality is, you know, as open-armed and as kind of just homey as it gets. And I used to have, you know, 20, 30 people family get-togethers multiple times a week at the house, and it kind of taught me how to be a host and how to make sure that you're always prepared for people coming in the door, and that even if you weren't prepared, you made it work, and that there was always extra food on the table, and that you know, it was always a kind of a place that all the homies were excited to come hang out at.
Right.
And that was from a young age. I remember I had couple of my best friends when we were like 13. I have this distinct memory of like getting in a taxi cab with them one day, leaving school, and like one of them telling me like, David, you're gonna own a restaurant one day. I don't know how that came up, or
He cursed you.
She cursed me.
Yeah, she cursed you. Welcome.
Yeah, big time. and then, you know, I kind of just like got it in my head. And then in senior year in my high school, we had a really liberal, like chill high school where senior year for the last 3 months you basically got to just pick like a project and throw yourselves into your senior project rather than have to go to math class and whatever else there was. And I happened to pick cooking. So I picked a cooking school at the time. I think it was like the Institute of Culinary Education in New York that offered like basic knife skills classes, basic French technique, basic Italian food. And it was like a 2-month or 3-month intensive kind of every day going to learn the basics. And when I finished those 3 months, I remember, you know, making dinner for my teacher. It was, you know, I had to prove the concept that I learned what I did, and she was impressed, and I was impressed, and I was like, oh, you know, maybe there's something to this whole cooking thing. And I had it in the back of my mind, and then that fall, I moved down to University of Miami, which is where I started my education. And obviously, getting to Miami as an 18-year-old from the Northeast,
Welcome.
you know, it was
Party time.
yeah, oh yeah. I don't know how much time I spent at school, or if I was there, it was at the pool.
Yeah, nice.
Doing what I had to do at the UM pool, and hanging out on South Beach, and getting involved with promoting and becoming friends with the local restaurant owners and asking questions, and always just being curious about, you know, how and why and, you know, where and when, and all the questions that you should never ask, but, you know, I couldn't help but asking.
Right.
And that summer, when I was going home and I needed to get a job for the summer, I kind of was naturally inclined to try to get a job in the restaurant business. And my mom and my dad came to America as immigrants in the late 70s, early 80s, at the same time as a certain chef
Yvonne, can you tell her to fire me another Negroni? Thank you.
With a certain chef by the name of Daniel Boulou.
Yeah, I know that.
And they were he was basically like closest family friend, mentor for us growing up. We would do family Thanksgiving dinners together, and he gave me like my first chef's jacket for my bar mitzvah when I was 13, and made a speech that he was going to eat at my restaurant one day, and I had no fucking idea that was going to turn into reality. But I remember calling him up, and I told him, I'm like, listen, Danielle, I really want to work in the restaurant business. I don't know why, but I do, and I think I'd be good at it. But my parents told me I could do anything but the restaurant business. So he told me, he said, David, tell them to meet me at DBGB's in 2 hours. Right. And I took my mom and dad. I'm like, guys, certain someone wants to talk to you. And he sat us down, and he basically told them, listen, you know, your kid's not crazy. This is a business that's actually becoming a little bit different than what it was historically. And Miami is a great city for the business. It's a great hospitality town where people have, you know, this culture engraved of hospitality that I think he'd be able to succeed at. And so they gave me the thumbs up, and he set up like a 3-month stage for me, essentially tossing me in every level of the restaurants that he owned at the time. So I got to spend a little time in the front of the house, learning from the managers and the captains, and spend some time in the back of house, you know, peeling shrimp and watching and getting yelled at for even touching or looking at something.
Don't stand that way.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. Turn away.
Literally.
Yeah.
Every day.
I know it.
And it was cool, man. It was cool. I got to lace up and wear some Crocs and cry myself to sleep at night because I got bitched at by some angry Frenchmen. And learn like the inequalities and all the things that are fucked with this business. But I very quickly brought that with me into my sophomore year in college, where I was starting to realize that I had to get my shit together a little bit, and that class was really a thing.
Yeah, you actually had to attend.
I had
the
to
class.
attend.
Yeah.
Second, so I was academic probation. You know. The
I
whole
lived
9
in
yards.
academic probation in college.
So I found a way. I was like, you got to do what you got to do. I found a way, and halfway through my sophomore year, I realized that, as much as I was a Hurricane and bled green and orange and loved the University of Miami and everything that it represented, it just wasn't offering me.
You want anything else, Dave?
Yeah, I'll do a Johnny Walker ginger ale.
Ooh, Johnny Walker ginger ale.
Oh, yeah, it's the ease of the problems.
Yeah.
You're
such a simple man.
You're reminding me of some fucked up times. So I had
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So I had to figure out a way to make it work, and I knew that it wasn't going to be studying international relations and political science. And
Isn't that so fucked though? Like you go to college. I mean, I changed my major like 3 times, and the whole time I knew, because I had worked in restaurants already for like 3 years in college. I was like, I don't want to do any of this shit. The only thing I like is working in that shitty restaurant that I worked in. Isn't that wild? And you still go through the system, right? And you still do it, and it's like, fuck, why? Like,
how old are you now?
35.
Okay.
Yeah,
A
and
couple
it's
years older than me.
And it's just like, you think about it, when I look back on it, I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? I mean, I did it because I wanted to play football.
Right.
Like I didn't care about
I
anything
see your
else.
pictures. You were
Yeah,
a
yeah.
beast.
And I didn't care about anything else. I was a kid, but you still you went to class and I'm gonna be a criminology major. Like, for what? What are you gonna do with that?
Nobody really actually ever becomes a criminology anything.
Right. Only the people on Law and Order and
Horatio Kane.
right. So
And
I just
got our man.
and we can we insert the small dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I fuck it up every time, but it's true. We should just insert it. We'll get a cease and desist later. We're small potatoes. They don't give a fuck. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
So I ended up realizing that I had to switch it up if there was going to be any shot of me finishing 4 years of anything. So I found the hospitality program at FIU, which I'm very grateful for. Big ups to FIU. They gave us almost $10,000 in hospitality industry relief money to take care of my staff this year.
They actually did the same for me after some rocky start, but yeah.
Oh, yeah? I have to say, I guess being one of their START alumni who goes there and teaches classes and stuff, I was able to get preferential treatment. And
I'll tell you a little story, and the only reason why I'll tell you is because it's you and whatever. But so at the beginning of the pandemic, I was obviously grasping at all straws to try to figure out how the fuck are we gonna get through this?
Yeah,
and there's no sign of government help yet. What are we gonna do? So I started picking on people.
Right.
And I picked on Lee Schrager.
Oh yeah, not a good guy to pick on.
Actually, I'm totally okay with picking on him, and I'll do it again.
Okay. Thank you.
And I
He's a nice guy.
sure.
Only ever been nothing but good to me.
Yeah, I mean he's fine, I guess. I feel like myself and some other people that were on that kind of tangent those couple days on Twitter really lit a fire under everyone's ass to realize hey, you guys have the money and have been doing very well using a lot of our resources for a very long time, and it's time for us to get some help. And I do give them credit that they did answer the call, and they did very well, and I thank them for that profusely. I hope, and I don't know, and I wouldn't speak for anyone, but I hope they would have done it without us, myself and a few other people, really lighting that fire those couple days.
Well, I'm glad you did it, man.
I mean, it wasn't just me. There was several people, but it's I just hope they would have done it without us. And I don't know the answer to that question, and I probably never will because we'll never get an actual answer. But maybe we can ask Lee to be on the show. Maybe. Nick's doesn't want to be a part of this podcast today, so it's fine. But sorry.
I mean, yeah, it was FIU definitely. Like you said, we've definitely all given the festival our heart and soul and a lot of our dollars and a So every year you do what you got to do for these people. So it makes sense they hook you back up. But FIU always was really good to me, and they gave me an opportunity to study what I loved.
Yeah.
And get access to really high quality professors. And at the end of the day, if you don't go to Lausanne or to Cornell Hospitality, we're probably FIU is probably the next best thing you can get. So
I mean, isn't it known as the number one hospitality school in the country? Or
after Ithaca, after Cornell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, after Cornell.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, I think at this point our resources, we got the chaplains and Southern Wine and Spirits, who obviously donate a bunch of money to the school and make sure that we have great facilities, we have great professors. I got really lucky and got to have one of the original founders of Burger King as one of my restaurant development teachers, who had been at the school for like 40 years. The guy was a dinosaur. And I got to have some really killer wine guys who essentially put me through sommelier training. I ended up with a beverage minor and basically took the sommelier exam in college and learned everything about spirits and wine and beer making. And as a 23-year-old, I definitely felt like I came out of there with a lot.
Right.
And set me on my way to working in the restaurant business. I tried to continue my studies since I didn't really go abroad during college. And I'd seen a lot of my buddies that were doing that and going to study in cool places like Israel and France and Italy.
But were they really studying?
How to have fun.
Yeah, there you go. I remember seeing that too, and I was just like, man, I don't have money for that, but that does look fucking fun. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it was definitely, it made me envious.
Yeah.
So when I finished, I kind of told my dad, I was like, listen, Dad, I don't really care about a graduation present. Just if anything, help me be able to go abroad and give me an opportunity to go learn how to cook more. And I found a program in Spain at Hoffman Cooking School, which was a cooking school in Barcelona that had a Michelin star restaurant attached to it, where basically the kids would alternate their time between school and the kitchen, and they would be directed by former Michelin star CDCs, execs, and sous, and would basically run a lunch and dinner operation where the first year would run lunch and the second year would run dinner, and then they would host stagiaires who wanted to come for 3, 6, 8, 9-month periods,
Right.
but not be enrolled in the school. And since I already had my diploma, studying was pointless. So it was just about going there and getting an opportunity to basically learn fine dining from the pros. And it was a really cool crash course. I was there for 3 months, learning how to cook and, learning all the real ins and outs of classical French and classical Spanish dining. That was really cool. I was going, anytime I had a minute, I was going around the city, trying any place that I could, loading up my camera roll with pictures of everything from silverware to napkins and table runners and chairs and bathroom
Isn't it crazy?
sinks. And
When I go to restaurants, I'm this guy. Like, I look around and I get the plate, and I'm just like, oh man, I've never heard of that. It's just like, oh, the silverware. Like, what the fuck is this? It's just, it becomes like part of the thing that you do when as soon as you sit down, you start to digest the whole restaurant, and like, oh, that's nice. I never thought about that. It's like, oh, this glass, I've never seen this before. This plate, like, I ate at
a whole lot of plagiarism in this business.
whatever, man. Like, some people have good ideas, and you're just like, where did you get this fucking plate from? Like, fuck. Yeah. So the other day I dined at Robuchon, the one downstairs.
Jardinier.
Yeah, and I thought it was fantastic.
Really good.
Yeah, extremely good. But all the plates were beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
All of them. They're like a brand called Nico, which I had never seen before.
Probably quite pricey.
That's to say the least, yeah.
$75 a plate.
Yeah, I thought I would. I remember when I started this thing 5 years ago, I was like, I'll never do that. Fuck. We have a couple plates. We have a couple bowls now that are like $60 each.
Oh my god.
And we have a couple plates that are like $130 each. Now they stay in my office only for tastings, but they're beautiful. Right. It just becomes part of the artistry, I guess.
Yeah, man, that's part of there's obviously at our level, Fuchs, Ariette, which I consider, casual fine dining, which is, we're not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. If you break a plate, I don't want you to feel like shit about it.
Right.
If my dishwasher breaks a plate, I don't want him to feel like shit about it. But
I think the best way to explain casual fine dining is like, people can come in here in jeans and a t-shirt, right?
And have a duck a la presse.
Right. Like, there's no...
Escoffier 101.
Right. I don't want them to feel like, I don't need you in a 3-piece suit. It's cool if you come in one. I'm totally okay with that. But if you come in jeans and a t-shirt, because that's usually how I dine too, like I don't think less of you. So to me, that's what casual fine dining really means, is like you're getting all of the perks, not necessarily the price point though. But your experience is something more than just like a regular like casual
Elevated.
experience. Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. And Barcelona for me was really cool, eye-opening experience. At the time, modernist cuisine was really making a big push out there. I learned the art of sous videing and the use of tweezers and the idea of manipulating food in ways that we didn't make it something that wasn't really what it was, but made you think it was something. And I remember, running back every day and just like being mind blown. It was like every day was like an acid trip. Like I just learned something new, every day. I was like, whoa. And I ended up buying a set of Shun knives at the Boqueria, because I maybe 2 weeks after getting there, I was like bumming people's knives and shit, and it's just not kosher to do that in the kitchen.
It's not.
And then I showed up
That's
like
not
an idiot
okay.
with like expensive ass knives. Felt even like a bigger idiot. 'Cause, what are you gonna do with a bunch of fucking expensive knives? They're gonna fucking get stolen or break in a kitchen.
Right.
But I remember, first 2 weeks just left sliced and diced. My hands were just like all chopped up.
You feel gratified, I feel.
Hey, that's how the knife lets you know that it's
Right.
yours. You got to leave your blood on it, and if it doesn't draw blood, it ain't yours.
That's right.
And I remember one day I was filleting. I don't know if it was like a whole monkfish or some kind of
Ooh, I love monkfish.
yeah, some kind of cod or monkfish situation, and I was like on the fish butcher duty that day, and I was just having so much fun. Like it was so therapeutic to just like slice away at this fish and just like not fuck it up or fuck it up, but just know that like I just broke down a fish,
Right.
something that I'd never done before. And I remember leaving that day and I was like, damn, how am I gonna learn how to do this better?
Right.
And my first thought, I had always been a big Japan head.
Yeah.
I'd always loved sushi, and I remember at the time, having watched the Jiro Dreams of Sushi movie.
Oh, what a movie. I've seen
What
it
a
at least
movie,
20
man.
times.
Peter Berg, what a legend. That was like the predecessor to Chef's Table.
Yeah.
Um,
It did set the tone for what food television should be.
Really did.
Right.
It was phenomenal. That was a game changer movie,
And honestly, every time I see it, I feel like it's the first time.
right? It still holds up.
It's just I feel like it's the first time. I feel as inspired as I did the first time. And I can't say the same thing about the Chef's Table stuff, because there's some chefs I just don't connect with.
Right.
But
It's also become a little just like overdone.
I don't know if
It's
that's
like McDonald's now. They just
I
have
don't
it
know.
online.
I don't know if that's the case. Just people want it so bad
Yeah.
that they just want to turn it out, and it's like that first season of Chef's Table was so dramatic
Yeah.
and so intense that you loved it.
Yeah, that
Here-
Francis Malman episode.
Yeah, Francis is a legend.
As good as it gets.
Yeah, the Hero Dreams of Sushi it's just about like one man and his mission, and how simple the mission may be, but that simplicity is so difficult. And that's really what makes that style of cuisine so special. And that's what I tell people, and they're just like, yeah, we're going to open up a sushi restaurant. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not going to open a sushi restaurant. You're going to open up an American sushi restaurant. You're going to open up what you think a sushi restaurant is, but it's not real sushi.
No.
It's just, and that's when you lose people,
100%.
It's
I mean, listen, it's hard to like grasp obviously what it takes. It's like you said, like the tension is in the simplicity, in the
Right.
details. And that movie, I remember, I remember telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, I was like, I don't want this to end. I just had the best 3 months of my life. How can I continue this and learn maybe visit a whole other part of the world? And I found this sushi academy in Tokyo.
cool.
That was basically like a 2-month program to become like a certified sushi chef, whatever that means. Where you basically spend like 10 hours a day in a half Japanese, half international class with real Japanese sushi masters, teaching you the basics all the way to, breaking down every different kind of fish that's traditionally used in Japanese cuisine. And you learn how to make nigiri, you learn how to make maki, you learn the whole 9 yards. so I did that for a couple months and had a blast. Got to explore Japan a little bit. Every time I had a shot, again, was doing the same thing. Every time I had time going out, try to eat at whatever place I could, discover new flavors, meet new people. I ended up making a great connection with a guy who is 3 Michelin star chef in Tokyo, and ended up being one of the best relationships that ever happened to me, because it introduced me to my head chef and my partner Nozomu Abe, who actually partnered with me to open a real sushi restaurant.
A real one. One of the actual real ones.
One of the actual real ones that actually does it the exact same way as the guy Jiro did it.
Which is amazing.
Which is insane. And, we have created our own little version of Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's a little tasty video that got like 30 million views on YouTube. And an eater video that got another 15 million views. So, our process is well documented, and it's really the right way of doing things. And I guess that's for a later point in the story. But yeah, then I ended up coming back from Japan, and I worked at OTC for Mike Sullivan, and spent some time working at Gigi's when Gigi's was still cool. And
that's good. I like that. It was cool for like 2 years.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, no, it was cool for like 2 years. I remember I used to go there often. And
mushroom buns and
and then it took a hard nosedive. It was a hard nosedive, but yeah, it was cool for a while, and the food was good.
Oh, it was really avant-garde at the time for Miami.
Right.
You're going back at a time when like Miami really had nothing.
Right.
And
it had something, just not a lot of something.
Not a lot, yeah. I was getting chewed out, trying to be a server on the floor, dealing with like a bunch of fucking Hialeah people coming out and bitching me out, and a bunch of idiots just giving me shit all day.
At 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I got axed for like standing up for a woman chef in the kitchen who had gotten really badly berated by someone whose name is going to remain unsaid. But I stood up for someone.
Blonde guy?
Nah, maybe. I stood up for her and ended up getting on the chop block because I stood up for someone treating a woman like shit in a kitchen. It was just not something that I was used to. Like, you can bitch me out all you want. Like, I'm a grown-ass man and I got tough skin, but like a mother of 2, like who's just trying her best to get by doesn't deserve to be. I don't care how you call me sexist or whatever, but I just have respect for women in a way that I think maybe I'm willing to bitch you out, but I'm not going to bitch, someone who could be my mom out.
Fair.
And that was kind of eye-opening for me at the time. And I ended up moving on, and I met Nicole Votano, who was my opening chef at Fuchs, and I basically had a feeling that she was trying to take a next step in her career, and I was trying to take my next step, and I basically told her, listen, I want to open a restaurant, I love your food, I know I'm only 24, but I promise you that I'm going to be committed to this, and my goal is to get Michelin stars and be the best at what I do. And she believed in me, and we went through the due diligence and trusted the process, and ended up buying Nemesis restaurant from Micah Edelstein, who was a former Top Chef competitor, and a friend of mine at the time. And I remember dining there and it kind of being like my date spot where I would bring girls.
Yeah, I went there quite a few times.
Yeah, it was sexy, It was like you walking
the
over
church pews as like actual,
which I still have in the restaurant.
You do?
One of them, yeah, at the entrance. I sanded it down and made it look
different.
Oh
yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, I ended, you would be walking over homeless people like they were landmines to get into a restaurant and go spend $100 on dinner and a bottle of wine.
Yep.
It was a very unique thing at the time. The corner bar was just starting to kind of be a thing. I had been there, a handful of times at that time.
I've been there way more than a handful of times that I'd like to mention.
Oh, yeah.
I think
at the time, it was still relatively innocent. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into.
Right. Whenever a place closed at 8 a.m, there's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we ended up getting I think I paid like $100,000 for the keys at the time, which now kind of seems like in COVID times a bad deal, but I guess pre-COVID times was a good deal. And I
everything in perspective, you look back 2020 vision, you're like, maybe I should have done. I understand that feeling.
Yeah, but I was able to basically inherit a fully functioning restaurant. You know, I got
Which is
everything
rare.
from the stove to the oven to the refrigerators. All the refrigerators are still intact at the restaurant. My Blodgett oven that she bought used, it was like a 1992
Blodgett's are
Blodgett.
good, man. I have two of them.
Those things are ripped, man.
Yeah, they're good.
I've had like a couple issues with them 2 times over 6 years and had immediate support from them, and they gave me the pieces, fixed them up. She's my old faithful. And then, I swapped out stove, and I did some redecorating and built a new bar. And, over the course of the last several years, I've obviously added and made the place more and more cozy. But that kind of was 6 years ago, and I opened in early 2015. And then we got immediately, the place blew up. After a year, Nicole rode out, and I was forced to try to pivot. And that's when I benefited from Michael Schwartz basically just chopping everyone and anyone that was at Cypress Room.
I don't know about chopping, but chopped a lot, and a lot of people walked away.
Yeah, a lot of people walked.
Chopped the top 2 heads, and then the rest of them walked.
Right.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And I kind of got a lot of heat from him for it, which I think we made up since then. But
He'll be fine.
I was able to just pick up a couple free agents that were ready, willing, and able. And Roel, our mutual bro,
Yep.
came in and rode in on his white horse and saved the day. And
I could only envision Roel on a white horse.
right? Right. Genghis Khan on a white horse.
With Brian in tow.
Yeah, with a cheeseburger.
Yeah. That's good.
And so we ended up saving the day and refocused the concept and brought it to the standard that I was proud of. And he kind of set me afloat and made me feel comfortable operating my restaurant again. And that was a really big turning point in the Fuchs career. And then halfway through my Fuchs career, during the whole time I had been working on the Sushi Naz project, I guess even since before Fuchs was a project. Halfway through that, I opened Sushi Naz about now 2.5, 3 years ago. And that opened to immediate success. We got a Michelin star in the first 3 months or 4 months of opening. Got named best sushi restaurant in the United States by Bloomberg. Number 1 sushi restaurant in New York by New York Magazine. Pretty much all the accolades that you could ever wish for, and collected a whole bunch of experience and street cred and new familiar friends and faces who are going to end up being really valuable in my life and in my growth. And Sushi Naz was able to repeat the Michelin star for a second year in a row, and we were really pushing for 2, if not 3. We had just gotten 2 stars in Wine Spectator, 2 cups in Wine Spectator this year for our list that had over 1,000 indications, sake and wine. I built a really crazy wine program, and the restaurant just kept kind of just going on this like upward trajectory, and the sales kept getting better, and the wait list kept getting bigger, and then we got hit by COVID.
As did everybody.
And we had to pivot. We started figuring out, what we could do and how we could survive. Obviously being an 8-seat, 14-seat if you want to get specific about it, but 14-seat counter-style dining restaurant in New York City was pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
We had never done takeout. We had never done delivery. We had like a decent catering business that was like slightly built into the operation, but was for the large part kind of abandoned because people wanted Chef Naz, and Chef Naz had a job. So we kind of, after like closing down, Chef Naz got COVID like March 15th. As soon as he got COVID, he got really sick, and I got really scared, and we shut the restaurant. We paid the whole staff 2 full weeks of their salaries, and just kind of told everybody, like, here's what we can do. Have everybody on ice and hope, we come up with some way to make this work. And when Naz came back from his quarantine, kind of feeling re-energized, we started doing takeout, and we started kind of selling these salmon and tuna chirashi bowls, which we were putting in these kind of like whatever cheap looking plastic containers that weren't very cool or, very exciting. And I remember having given a person whose opinion I really value dinner, and he kind of like sent it back to me and was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is not Sushi Naz. Sushi Naz is the best sushi restaurant in America. It's not some takeout sushi joint. And if you are going to be takeout sushi joint, you make sure you do it great. So I kind of sat down with Naz and my brother, and I told them, guys, we've got to figure out a way to uphold the Sushi Naz brand values and give the experience that people are used to if we are going to do this. If not, we might as well just, pack it up, call it a day. So we started getting this really cool high-end packaging and diversifying the offerings, and started creating some cool different rolls. We made a lobster roll, sushi roll with homemade bouillabaisse. We made a really nice king crab roll with a homemade anchovy sauce. We started doing different kinds of futomakis and bara chirashis and all these different hand roll kits and uni kits. And little sooner or later, little did you know, we were doing like pretty much the same sales numbers that we were doing pre-COVID in the middle of a lockdown.
Right.
Which was pretty crazy. And for like a couple months there during the summer, we were getting catering requests every day in the Hamptons and in Connecticut and upstate New York, and just started going to people's homes and basically delivering the Sushi Naz experience to your home. And that kind of led us into where we are today. We had a little chance at indoor dining for 6 weeks and made the best of it, and got to get back to what felt like normal for a little bit. And during that time, the bakery next door to the restaurant, unfortunately for them, closed. And the landlord, who was our shared landlord, told us, listen, I have the space. I can give it to you for relatively cheap. If you guys want to move your delivery takeout operation into this space, I'm happy to do it for you. And you guys could have, we could have a mutually beneficial deal where, you guys are here short term. If you want to stay, you can stay. If you want to leave, you can leave. And Naz and I and my brother had always talked about the idea of finding a way to have like a fish butcher shop.
Right.
Find a way to move our product, which is relatively exclusive and pretty much all from Japan, or what isn't from Japan is from America, but treated using Naz's different kinds of aging, curing techniques that are kind of like proprietary to him, which you can't find anywhere. And we built what we're calling now Naz Market, which just opened 3 weeks ago now, which is basically our fish market, fish butcher shop that sells fish by the pound, as well as a front for our casual sushi concept. So we've had that ripping now, and that's been really cool for the Sushi Naz brand, and it's helped us kind of tap into another market, not have to spend $500 to come and experience the Sushi Naz experience. You go in there and spend $50 and leave really happy with some killer fish, and that's kind of where Sushi Naz stands today.
That thump you just heard, that was my pen ass hitting the bottom of the table.
Now on 1210 The Man, Romberg's Penis hits the bottom of the table.
That's going to be our 1210 The Man promo on like every episode.
That was fantastic.